welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest. Sometimes I ask why. Sometimes I just accept it and move on. And tonight, we're going to be talking about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're still staring at the night sky, hoping to see electromagnetic phenomena, we'll be caching in the Northwest. Now, tonight, we are going to be talking about Geocaching 101, cache types. As always, live audience, share your thoughts with us. That's what makes this show so unique and often entertaining, because otherwise, you know, we're just here talking. We want your input. But before we get going too far, it's time to bring in our typical Tamarin. Some say there's nothing artificial about his intelligence. And others say he was frisked before being allowed on the podcast. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
I just want to say your security sucks because
yeah.
You would not believe what I brought onto this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we were afraid of.
Yep. Well, kind of feels like not my problem, but anyhow.
No.
Good to be here Thursday night. Sorry I missed last week. Sounds like you guys had a good show though. So I'm glad.
Oh, so much fun.
Good. Usually it's much better when I'm not here. So, you know, frankly, I could just leave now.
I didn't say anything.
It's probably best that I'm not watching the hockey game tonight because there seems to be some sort of scientifically proven jinx of when I'm physically in the proximity of the television, the team performs poorly. So it's just best that I'm here.
It's only weird if it doesn't work.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But yeah, we're back. And what happened to Jim? He looks a little bit different.
Jim looks a little different tonight, but it's okay. He's still here with us.
Am I really?
Yes.
Or is this Jim Light?
Oh,
Jim Light? Is that what we're calling it? Is that some sort of weight joke?
Wait for it.
Nah.
Okay. No, it didn't fall. Okay. Well, Wits End isn't with us. However, we have IHAM with us tonight. And there are certain situations where the two of them have been confused, one for the other. So, you know.
And you know, I always feel like I need to apologize to Wits End after that happens.
CRS 98 says it's Jim plus.
There you go.
Jim double plus good.
Jim is double plus good. Absolutely. And like I enjoy saying when Wits End can't make it here on the podcast, if you miss him, if you're like, oh, where's Wits End? You know, he's probably busy doing something else more important. So send him a message. Tell him you miss him. Let him know you're thinking about him. Let him know how much you enjoy him on the podcast. I think it's kind of nice when you miss the podcast, but you get a little, hey, we noticed you weren't there. We love seeing you there. Thanks. So, you know, ping him a message on our little tag there. I assume Steve Beck Drive says she doesn't confuse IHAM and Wits End and not.
No, never has.
Yeah,
never.
He's really good on that.
Except for on the 4th of May or other times.
Just
on a specific instance. But otherwise, no. Okay.
Rylan says Jim must be on assignment.
Do you know what I forgot to do?
Well, we were hoping you were going to send a reminder out that you appreciate the support of our patrons.
Okay, I guess we're done now.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely, Chris. I'm glad you were hoping for that.
I was hoping.
Yeah.
Well, I was holding out all hope.
Hold out no longer. We here at the Caching in the Northwest podcast would like to shout out our thanks to our corporate Denali level sponsors. That's landsharkz.ca, landsharks.ca, the geocaching and geocoin store online and in person. Go check them out. And our other corporate Denali level sponsors, Gold Country Geotourism, Plan your trip up to Gold Country. Find the geocaches in the Geo Tours. Don't forget to download the app. Find it all at exploregoldcountry.com. And folks, hey, you know what? Even if you aren't a corporate Denali level sponsor, everybody who supports the podcast is enormously appreciated. And if you want to be enormously appreciated, well, all you need to do is head on over to the cachingNW.com website and look for the Patreon link to click there. And because I said it in the opposite way I normally said it, there's no gasp.
Goodness gracious. You know, I'll just let you know, Land Monkey.
What?
We've been doing this podcast for a little bit of time.
Yes.
Maybe you've noticed. I have. And we do have our roles and our, little bits that we say. When somebody else has to fill in one of those little bits, it's awkward.
It throws everything off. I agree.
Just the fact that you can spell land sharks so clearly, cleanly, and quickly.
And pronounce the last letter correctly?
Well, no, it's pronounced Z, but that's okay. We'll move on from there. It depends on who's pronouncing it. But yeah, it's I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Ooh, thank you. Folks, it's right now. It's time for the glow. You may ask, what is a glow?
What's a glow?
Why, thank you for asking.
I know what's a glow. That back behind me is a glow.
It's a purple glow. Kind of like a night sky with, electromagnetic phenomena. The glow is the geocaching log of the week. So whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Now you can send an email or a recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. Even better, call into 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow. Now, stop what you're doing right now. Stop. Send in a glow, and then you can continue what you were doing, okay? Just pause for a moment, send in a glow. We need them. Now, tonight, we have a glow from R. Reagan, who sent one in via email. And Iham, would you be so kind?
Oh, absolutely. So this glow is for the cache Wet and Wild, which is GC 7 Quebec Delta 8 Alpha. It was found by G. Singwald down in California, and the glow goes as such. After our previous attempt last month, Maya Mingi, who we're going to list as MM going forward here, MM and I decided to give it another go today after seeing the CO had replaced both Stage 2 and 3. We came equipped with wetsuits and dive masks, as well as other tools today. After a rope-assisted descent to the water, we did a cursory search of the larger pool, initially without success, and decided it had to be in the deeper pool. The water temps were in the low to mid-50s. MM took the first dip and spotted what appeared to be the hide in 12 to 15 feet of water. He was unable to reach the hide on first attempt. I gave it a go, but the wetsuit created too much buoyancy for me to reach the hide initially. We decided to use a rope and tied a weight to one end and use this to assist in descending. I had the cache in hand, but dropped it on my first attempt. After taking a break to warm up a bit, I jumped back in and was able to get my hands on the hide and bring it to the surface, even though it weighed quite a bit. We admired the creative cache container and finally figured out how to release the container, which had the final stage coordinates in it. Very clever use of a bike spoke. We took the wetsuits off and headed towards the final. It was somewhat of a bushwhack, but well worth it when we finally had the final container in hand. We both plan to watch this hide as it may be another 10 to 12 years before it is found again. Thanks to the cache owner for placing and maintaining this hide while patiently waiting so long for an FTF discovery. Included a few pics of our adventure. This now ranks as my most favorite find after over 11,600 finds.
Okay, well, I've never found a cache that has gone 10 to 12 years for an FTF or involved a wetsuit.
At first I was like, okay, is this like a liar's cache? Because it's kind of a pretty extreme description of what went on there. But as Dan was sharing that story, I went over and took a look at the link. And I'm like, okay, come on, what's going on here?
That's the real deal, huh?
Yeah,
seems like the real deal. That's an amazing, fun adventure. That's awesome.
A multi where you have to go diving for it.
As one of the 3 stages, yeah.
As one of the 3 stages, yeah.
He says it was somewhat of a bushwhack. I wonder if it was when it was originally placed, but after 10 years, found.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like 3 stages, and each stage is a different kind of adventure. That's quite the deal. It's pretty cool.
So there you go.
Good for them.
Our Reagan I've already sent off his glow badge, 2024 glow badge. So
sweet.
Send in your geocaching log of the week, and you could get your very own 2024 glow badge in Nova Blue. That's the color of the year.
Like Chevy Nova Blue.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's not, it's not super Nova Blue. It's just standard Nova Blue.
That's funny. Hey, we got some news.
We do.
Can I share some news?
Would you please?
Right.
Since a special day's coming up.
A special day? Well, let's find out. Let's read some news and find out what's special besides the bus that I ride. Thank a Volunteer Day on May 22nd highlights the essential role of volunteers in the geocaching community, recognizing their contributions in areas such as cache reviewing, translation, and forum moderation. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Nearly 400 volunteers worldwide help maintain the game's standards, enhanced user experience, and foster a positive community. Indeed. To express gratitude, geocachers are encouraged to send notes of appreciation, award favorite points, or post thank you messages on social media and community forums. Hold on. How does awarding a favorite point recognize?
I was just about to ask that same thing.
Okay. How about send notes of appreciation and post thank you messages on social media and community forums? Mm-hmm. Save the favorite points for really good caches.
There you go. Okay.
I don't know. I cannot compute how that works, but okay, whatever.
I noticed that the chat lackeys are not listed on here as needing thanks as a volunteer, but I think we need to thank our chat lackey too.
Yes, we do. Point. And Bryling says, give me all the favorite points. Now, a chat lackey is not an official geocaching position. It is an official position within the Caching in the Northwest community, though. Mm-hmm. So, chat lackey, you're appreciated.
Thank you.
Now, tonight we are talking about geocaching types. It's a geocaching 101 style of show, right? This is some of that evergreen content that as newbies come in and start listening to the podcast, this is one of the ones we'll point them to and say, hey, go listen to this show and it'll help you get an understanding of the different types of geocaches out there. So with that said, if you want to add something to tonight's show, use the hashtag types. That's TYPES to tonight's show. And of course, you can use the hashtag FATAS to bring up anything in the after show, like maybe a big event coming up that you're going to. Who knows? There's something going on somewhere.
There's always something going on somewhere, Chris.
There is, yes. The chat lackeys, says Subway Mark, should get triple the points. And Rylang thinks, what? I'm not official? Well, not official geocaching through Caching in the Northwest, but yeah, he's official in multiple ways. And
I think he has to put on a different hat if he wants that recognition.
Yeah, exactly. GSM times 2 brings out a good point. He says, I'm ho.
You're what?
I'm ho. No, in my humble opinion. Oh, you're not supposed to pronounce those letters. You just, okay, gotcha.
You do you, Chris.
every geocacher who's set a geocache is a volunteer. None of us are paid to set caches. Well, that's true.
I'm not going to argue at that point, but what I'm going to say is, in support of what I said earlier, if you are going to award a favorite point simply as a way of thanking somebody who volunteers for the game, would you give a favorite point to a pretty average lamppost cache, a pill bottle under a lamppost skirt, just because somebody placed it there? No, you're going to give favorite points to quality caches or caches that bring you to something that is worthy of a favorite point,
right?
Whether it's the view, the cache experience itself, whatever. So my point is, I argue with using favorite points as a way of rewarding geocaching volunteers.
Yeah, I agree. And if you want to know more about favorite points, go listen to our favorite point episode.
There you go.
GSM times 2 says, "You do you, Land Monkey."
Oh, I will.
I think that's the problem today. Everybody's doing themselves and nobody's thinking of anyone else. Okay.
All right.
Now, we want to start off, again, talking about the cache types. And we'll take your questions, we'll take your comments. But before we get going, let's set the stage and remind everybody who IHAM is and who IHAM isn't.
Well, I think we've already covered who I am not.
Yeah.
I am not what's in.
Okay.
Good evening. I am IHAM. I've been caching since January of 2004. So just crossed 20 years, and
Wow.
actually had an event for that. That was kind of fun. I mostly do my caching with Monkey Cakes. Together we are the Camp Clan, and then also with B Pendragon, who I don't know if he's posted about his podcast baking for this evening, but he's participating from the other bedroom. So anyway, yeah, it's always fun to be on here. So.
Fantastic. So we're going to talk about different cache types. And I've kind of grouped them into, I think, 4 major groupings. There could be 3, there could be 4. I can't remember now. I have to scroll through my notes, and there's a lot there. Let's start with physical cache types, right? Cache types that you're going to go find a container with a logbook in it, right? You're going to sign your name on that logbook. The first one is your traditional cache. That's going to be the first type you're going to see on the geocaching app. Those are the ones that are prominently displayed, the little green icons there. It's the simplest form of geocache. It consists of a container, as I said, with a log sheet, and it's located at the posted coordinates. Now, cache containers come in many different shapes and sizes, right? Tiny ones as big as the end of your finger, to 55-gallon drums, to entire sheds or houses. Who knows how large they can be, but nonetheless, a traditional cache probably going to be your most common find, if unless you're looking for all the specialty ones.
Yep. Who's going next, Chris? What do you?
I think you ought to, Land Monkey.
All right. So we're talking about the physical caches, and the traditional cache is the most straightforward. So the one everybody starts with, I think, for the most part. If you start with a more complex cache, you may just give up on the game. And I think that's why when you first start playing the game on the official app with a free account, mostly all you can see are non-premium traditional caches, because generally that's what's going to help you get into the game because they're the most straightforward. Now, if you want to start to add a layer to the game and start to look at a little more complexity to it, is the idea of the multi-cache. And I always think of the multi-cache as kind of like a mini scavenger hunt. And the idea is that it's a multi-cache because there are multiple stages you need to go through before you get to the log sheet, which you sign to indicate that you have found the cache. So
You say it adds a little bit of complexity, or in the case of our glow, a whole lot of complexity.
A lot of challenge. Yeah. No kidding. Good point, Dan. But yeah, so there's at least one stage in addition to the final physical container. And a good point here, the posted coordinates will be at the first stage. So the posted coordinates are where you start your scavenger hunt. It's not necessarily where the final stage is. Now, there could be nuances where it's also the final, but we won't go down that road. At each stage, you're going to either gather information or find an additional container that is going to lead you onwards until you reach the final stage.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say it could be an inch, it could be a mile, but I don't know what the length or the distance limit is for a multi-cache.
For a period, there wasn't a distance, but maybe any of our reviewer friends can let us know.
I know that for a while there were actually a number of driving multis where you would drive from waypoint to waypoint because it was a ways.
Right.
There we go. There is no limit on distance for a multi-cache except when it's used for GeoArt. Now that I didn't know. Isn't that interesting?
Okay.
There you go. There was a exception there. And GSM times 2 also confirming there's no distance limit for a multi. I know there's a multi that was placed in the last couple of years out in this area where the starting point is in Delta near Surrey, British Columbia, in a urban area. And the final is up in FSR about 70 kilometers away. So
most aren't that kind of distance.
Most aren't. Most are, as I think what Dan was getting at, most are a short walk.
Yeah. Usually it's designed to be done, in a short walk in the same day. So, Iham, would you like to go on to the third?
Well, when you look on the map, you may have questions, or at least question marks, and that would indicate the mystery cache, also commonly referred to as a puzzle cache. But officially, it's the mystery cache. And for this one, players will need to solve a puzzle, or they may need to bring a special tool to reveal the next waypoint or final coordinates, or sometimes you just have to solve a puzzle. There's a series down in the South Sound where you literally have to solve a digital jigsaw puzzle to get the coordinates, but most of the time the physical container is not at the posted coordinates. The puzzle will either reveal those coordinates to you, or you will go. When you do your geochecker, will say, okay, and the actual coordinates are, north 48, west 122, whatever. But the other thing that you could run into there is when you get to the posted coordinates, there could be a field puzzle or a gadget that you have to solve something right there on site in order to sign the log.
There you go. Yeah. So it could be a puzzle you solve on a computer ahead of time. It could be a puzzle you solve physically in front of you at the location, or anything in between.
Yeah, it's a very broad category. It
really is. Yeah. So they will, the idea is the cache owner will tell you what to do in the cache page. Here, solve this, or go there and figure this out, and then, do XYZ and stand on your head and spin around 3 times. Okay, the next type we want to talk about is a letterbox hybrid. It's kind of an odd naming convention. Letterboxing existed before geocaching, but yet
significantly before. Significantly before.
The hybrid is that, I want to say geocaching kind of hijacked the letterboxes and, took their style. So these caches may use clues instead of coordinates to guide players to the cache container. Sometimes the final container is not at the posted coordinates, but it always has a stamp for letterboxing that is meant to stay with the cache. You can learn more about letterboxing from Letterboxing North America. Just do a quick Google. One of the biggest reasons for why I hear people don't hide letterbox hybrid caches, or they believe these caches require laid out directions to follow to find the cache, right? You're going to start here, take 30 paces, turn at the oak tree, something like that, right? It's going to be a spelled out type of path to follow. In reality, a letterbox hybrid can be at the posted coordinates. It just has a stamp in the container that's there to stamp what do they call them? The letterbox, the stamp books.
Is your personal stamp book, I believe.
Personal stamp book. Okay, I know they have a special name for it. There's a personal and a public stamp book, and it's a whole thing. And letterboxing really is quite fascinating. So,
and while it's not required to put those instructions in there, it's a lot of fun to solve some of those ones.
It is.
I agree, Dan, and that's one of the things. Not being a purist about it, but I tend to enjoy letterboxes where there's a little more to do than just go to the coordinates, and because then to me it's like, I guess I get a fine on another icon type, so stats wise, yay, but experience wise, it didn't add anything other than it being a green box. So,
well, and I know I found one in Puyallup that actually ended up. The instructions were quite detailed. It took a bit of time to get there, and then it actually ended up being basically a nano with a stamp, or not a nano, but a bison tube with a stamp embedded in the lid of the bison tube.
Oh, clever. Okay.
It was very clever.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a park where, a fairly public part of the park, where you couldn't really hide a container of any size, but they had carved a stamp. They had embedded it in the lid of this bison tube, and there you go. There's your letterbox hybrid.
That's ingenious. Yeah,
it was really well done.
Now, true letterboxers will always have an ink pad with them, so you don't have to include an ink pad with the hide, but you do have to include a stamp to have it considered a letterbox hybrid. If you want to know more about letterboxing, leave comments on this video, and we'll consider doing a letterbox hybrid specific video, and we'll get some letterboxing experts to come and talk to us. And tell us what we're doing wrong, because obviously we're doing it wrong.
Wait a minute, hold on. Don't open that door. But if you want to know more about letterboxing, let us know.
Okay. I think I found one in Puyallup too. It may have been that one, but it was a very tiny stamp.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Komikino.
Thanks, Komikino. Letterboxers, a new type of shorts.
That's funny.
Well, let's move on to the next type.
On that note,
I think we're up to you, Land Monkey.
Well, why don't we move from boxers to wigs?
Okay.
So, where I go cache type. So, another physical cache type is what's called a where I go. And frankly, this is one of the most perplexing for people. This is one of the hardest ones for people to figure out how to do. And the reason is, a where I go It's based on an application. It's a tool set for creating and playing a GPS-enabled adventure, where you interact with either physical or virtual objects in a multi-stage caching experience. So there's like aspects of a multi.
Mm-hmm.
There's aspects of kind of a letterbox, but it's app-based. And you need to be able to find a Where I Go playing app. Now, there's a couple of different ones these days, which is good. From your phone, you need to play that. There's a what's called a cartridge. Kind of think of it like an old Nintendo cartridge,
Mm-hmm.
but virtual. So instead of physical cartridge in your hand, there's a virtual cartridge you download into your phone. You play the game, and at the end of the game, you will either be walked to or given the final coordinates and hopefully a bit of intel about the hide itself. So that was probably entirely perplexing if you've never gone and looked for one of these before. It is a bit unusual. It's a bit of a different approach. And then there's another, they're not new, but the idea of a reverse Where I Go. They're not new, but they've become extremely popular in the Northwest in the last few years.
Yes. Luckily here in Western Washington, MC3 Cats puts out a lot of Where I Goes. So you'll have an option to see different types and styles. Go find one. They're really interesting. But yes, you do have to get an app for your phone. Some GPSs have Where I Go built into them. You go download that cartridge to your phone or to your GPS, and then you quote unquote play that cartridge and it will start up. So there are some that, can be started from anywhere, and others have to be near the location to start. So
GSM times 2. I love this comment. Reverse Where I Go is the LPC of Where I Go.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I have to kind of agree. It was a great idea when it first came out. And like any great idea, it's like it gets done to a certain point where it's like, okay, we got it. Thanks. Next.
Thank you. We've done it. Yeah. Wet Coaster says there are a lot of Where I Goes in Edmonds, to which Bryling says hundreds. So
Edmonton,
there you go.
Not Edmonds, Edmonton.
I'm sorry, Edmonton. Thank you for that catch. Yes, that's exactly what it says. And
Bloody America.
I read it the way I wanted to read it. I did me, and I did no service to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Skyhawker says a new version of GC Droid caching app for Android includes a Where I Go player. Yeah,
yep.
There are some Where I Go players built into the apps.
Right.
Not all the apps.
I think GeoGo also includes.
I was going to say that, Dan. Yep. GeoGo, and then of course Cachely.
Yeah. Cachely does not have a Where I Go player built in.
But he has also built a Where I Go player. Is that where I'm confused? Okay. So
yes,
two separate apps.
There are a couple of good Where I Go players for the iPhone.
Good.
They're separate apps. Just in case you want to know, there have been several Hangman style Where I Goes.
Oh, interesting.
I have played. Yeah, you know what? I had totally forgotten about that until Seaback Tribe said that. I have played a couple like that.
If you wanted to go to, say, Alberta, you could find approximately 943 Where I Go caches.
And Alberta's small, so you can find them all pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're interested, there is a reverse whereigosolver.com. Kind of cheats, but
I would be interested if anybody actually doesn't use the solvers.
Now you got to do one first, and then I give you permission to use the solver. But if you use the solver first, no points for you. Okay, so boy, we got a lot. Geek Frog, Where I Go, reverse Where I Go decode.
Yep.
GeoGo has one of those.
Well, hold on. No, two different things. Chris, you're conflating things again. So pull up Brian's comment. That
Geek
goes
Frog.
along with CRS 98's comment. Those are two reverse Where I Go solvers. Those are two websites for reverse Where I Go solvers.
Right.
Seaback Tribe is saying GeoGo has
Does
Where I
have
Go player
a player,
built into
yes.
the app. It's not a reverse Where I Go solver.
No, sorry. I didn't mean to say that. She was confirming that GeoGo does have a Where I Go player.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like Wet Coaster's comment about Hangman.
Go ahead.
Hangman, teaching children the hazards of bad spelling. That's awesome. I love it.
You know, I'm hearing schools are dropping spelling requirements.
Oh, good. Because nobody knows how to spell anyways.
Exactly. And they're spelling on tools that will correct their spelling for them, through phones, tablets.
And why bother learning math? Because everybody's got a calculator on their phone.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, honestly, kids, don't even bother with school. There's no point.
Thank you, Seebeck Tribe. She's going to be try to be more clear just for me. J-Car says, no! I don't know what that's in reference to.
Yeah.
I'm
probably the spelling, but
the no longer spelling, but that's okay.
Yeah, no.
I completely agree. You should learn to spell. Now, I'm not the greatest speller. I've learned there are words I misspell and I've taken the time to correct them, but it's about spelling. There you go. Thank you, J-Car.
There you go. Yeah,
Subway Mark says AI will solve all the problems in mistake. So just be kind to your robot overlords.
That's right.
It'll just add a whole new layer.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny. Well played.
Okay. Wow. Where I goes kind of blew up.
Phone Overlord, I love you. Okay.
So
did I say Overlord? I meant Protector.
Yes.
I am. Would you please get us on track?
I'd be glad to. So the next type we're going to talk about here is the Project Ape Cache, which is a legacy. Jay, how many of them are there in this world?
Dos.
And how many have you found in this world?
All of them.
All of them. Why isn't he doing this segment then? No, I got it.
Well, it should have worked out that way.
Well, you know what though? It's not that. That's actually not an entirely correct statement to say I found all of them, because as a grandfather cache type, there were other ones out there. So people who were finding them much earlier than I started playing that part of the game have found many more than two.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You have found both of the ones that still remain.
Correct.
Okay. Anyway, but the Legacy Planet of the Apes series told a fictional story where scientists revealed an alternative primate evolution, or ape. This was out of 14 caches originally placed in conjunction with the 20th Century Fox movie back in 2001. There are two left in the world. One is here in Washington State, up near Snoqualmie Pass, and one of them is down in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Please see previous episodes for more details on that one.
Exactly.
Their containers are specially marked ammo cans that originally held a prop from the movie. So,
and I just really think geocaching missed the boat on the Planet of the Apes reboot of the reboot.
Yeah.
Whenever the new series came out, I think
they could have run with it, because I think the ape icon is a very popular one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I wonder though if it's one of those things where the film production company just wasn't interested.
Yeah,
could be.
Well, I mean, I think somebody on the film production company was interested and allowed these 14 containers to go out, but after that, there was never.
Is the reboot still with 20th Century Fox, or did somebody else pick
I
that
don't
up?
know. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is the new one out. It just came out within the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, I've seen the ads.
My son has seen it and said it was quite good.
How, some of these films like that, I got to wonder, like, how much of that is CGI? Like, it's got to be almost entirely CGI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm really impressed with how
or motion capture.
Chimpanzees. Yeah. Yeah. I would be impressed with those too. Yeah. Because Land Monkey.
Yeah.
It's not real.
What's not real?
the Planet of the Apes thing. It's not real. There aren't really talking apes. Now, I don't want to. Nobody else, I hope, heard that. I was just speaking to Land Monkey directly. So
I don't know about that, but okay. Can
Well,
I talk about my favorite type of geocache then instead?
Okay, or robot overlords, either one.
Okay. Well, I've already thanked our robot protectors. Okay. Well, that is all of the container-based, the types of geocaches, the ones where there's a physical container to find. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about container-less caches, or I guess I like to refer to them as virtual caches because there's no physical container, but then that gets confusing because one of them is called a virtual cache.
Right. That's why I chose the word containerless.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's fairly explicit. It is less a container. So that doesn't mean a cache that's been muggled, which is also a containerless cache. Anyhow, there's a few different types of these. And, again, we're saying containerless. The bottom line is there is no physical container to find. There's something else you need to do to get credit for finding this cache. So there's no physical log sheet to sign necessarily. There's something else, some other action at the given coordinates that you need to do. And the first of these that we're going to go through is, if anybody knows me, they know this is my favorite cache type, and it's called the Earth cache. It interests, and we've done a couple episodes where we've really dug through the background on this. And on my website, I've got a whole section about these and lots of information. So there's lots of information out there. If you'd like to learn more about these, I would encourage you to. It is a geocache that was very specifically placed for the purpose of education. The Geological Society of America worked with land administrators and geocaching.com to create this type of geocache, which is a way we can learn about how the planet's been shaped by geological processes, how we manage the resources, how scientists gather evidence about geology and earth science. Fascinating stuff. In generally speaking, the description of the cache is going to include some educational information along with specific geoscience questions that you'll need to answer via observations at the given coordinates. And that's kind of the short version of it. So again, to explain, you're given a set of coordinates, and in the description on the cache page, a short geology lesson and some observations to make and questions to answer. You send the answers to those questions in, probably take a photo of yourself at the location as well. And sending the answers into the cache owner is the equivalent of signing the log sheet.
There you go. Exactly right. The next type, virtual caches, also is a legacy cache, meaning you can't place new ones. The ones that are out there will stay out there until, something happens. The site is removed, something is defaced, what have you. Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead with your questions.
I get that we're calling it a legacy cache with virtuals.
A legacy type that's true.
Because you can't just randomly replace them. But
yeah, you're right.
Please go on.
Right there, you can't go and place one, but you can be offered one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can't go place one just willy-nilly, right?
You can be gifted by
You
HQ.
can be gifted one. A virtual cache is about discovering a location rather than a container. The player must go to the coordinates, and then they may be required to answer a question about a location, take a picture, or complete a task. I know there was a tower in Astoria that you had to climb to the top of, right? Yep. I want to say 900 steps, but that seems extreme. I can't remember. A large number of steps. And that was it. Just climb to the top. You didn't have to prove you did.
But wasn't there a photo required for that one?
No.
No? Okay.
That was one of the first virtual caches I came that there was no requirement to prove that you did it.
Honor system.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I did it, and it was a spectacular
That's because geocachers can be trusted
Right. Let's see.
See Throwdown for additional information.
DRS 98 says you cannot convert a physical cache to a virtual cache because containers disappear and you don't want to do maintenance. Hashtag archive party. There you go. Oh, go on to the next one, please.
So the webcam caches are geocaches that use existing web cameras that monitor various areas accessible to the public, like parks or business complexes. The logging requirements are to save a screen capture from the website where the camera shows the player in frame and upload it with their log. Taking a selfie at a webcam site does not count. Not that I have an opinion about this or anything.
That's a good point, though, Dan, because I think a lot of people, when they first start the game, or if they're fairly new to playing it, they might not know that because when webcams were grandfathered, there was, it's just the nature of webcams. They will tend to, need maintenance, etc. And there'll be times when they're not available and not working. But the but the nature of that is like, oh, okay, well, I'm here, I'll just take a selfie at this location. I get why that's the thing people would inherently think to do. And I think it's only recently that it's been made more broadly aware for geocachers of like, no, that's actually not cool. You can't do that. So I think it's a good point to raise, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah. But there are a fairly small number of them, and that number keeps shrinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was way off on the Astoria column. It's only 200 steps, not 900. It felt like 900 by the time you got up there.
700 steps, whatever.
Yeah. It's GC 1901.
Very cool.
You know what, guys? Let's take a break for just a quick moment.
Okay.
We have a special guest who's joined us.
What?
Yes, I know. Hold on, I'm getting something right now. This just in.
Into the news desk.
Yeah.
Howdy.
And we have the dulcet tones of Fu Manchu.
Thank you. Yeah, I was in the neighborhood. Figured I'd stop by and say a quick hello.
Yeah, I figured you didn't have a lot going on right now.
No, not
anything
at all.
new going on?
Not at all. I don't get any emails or text messages. No one knows. It's just quiet. I'm not packing the car and loading. Yeah, we're actually heading to Flagstaff in I guess about 9 hours from now, about 10 hours from now.
Okay. Now be absolutely honest. It's just us. When was the last time you slept?
Wow. Well, honestly, since in the new year, I've been getting about 3 or 4 hours a night, honestly.
Okay.
I'm the stay home for 2 little girls. And so you think that I get a lot of time to work, but with a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old, it's pretty much, they wake me up in the morning. I'm with them all day and they don't nap at the same time. They do nothing at the same time. And so it's a rough one. And then they finally, hopefully go to bed at 8. Tonight was 9. And, and then I can start my work day, work till like 3 or 4 in the morning. And then, they come to wake me up. The 3-year-old comes to wake me up, about 6:30. So it's been a rough go. However, we had a local mega spring fling a couple weekends ago.
Which you were also involved with.
Yes. Yeah. That I hosted that one as well. So yeah, just 3 weeks ahead of it was sort of a dry run, I guess, for Woodstock, Geo Woodstock. But that night I actually got about 8 or 9 hours, and the next night I got about 8 or 9 hours. So
wow,
that was pretty fantastic. But otherwise I'm just perpetually tired and looking forward to like June 1st and just tuning
So
out
if you see Fu Manchu, buy him a cup of coffee. Or 6.
Oh, I need it. But things are well though. So, and absolutely excited about it's here. We're leaving 5 a.m.
Yeah.
in the morning, tomorrow morning, and just thrilled, just excited to get up to Flagstaff and get the party started.
Awesome.
For those of you that don't know, we had Fu Manchu on a couple of weeks ago to talk about Geo Woodstock 20, which is happening in just over a week in Flagstaff, Arizona. So we brought you on tonight to, you said you had some late breaking news you wanted to pass along to our listeners.
Well, it's more about, I guess, putting out fires and concerns and what I see on Facebook, which, I guess the number one, this will be a little AMA, I guess, of just like the top 10, questions that pop up on Facebook at the moment, other channels. Yes, there is going to be a maze. Things don't always work smoothly with venues, especially in a small town, especially with a large footprint with something like the maze. And so, when you have one, you think you're good and everything, and then it falls through, and then you get another one, and that falls through, and then, and then all of a sudden it's a week before, and trying not to panic, sort of thing. But it seems though that panic was more online. But we've been working very closely with the city the whole time, and they've at Discover Flagstaff, we have a very, very close person who helping us, and she tracked down a fantastic venue. It's actually, I can't believe we didn't start with this one a year ago, but so things are locked in finally, and the page is now in the hands of HQ, and takes a couple days for that icon to get switched over, because you create a regular page, regular cache page, and then they convert it. So once it's approved, and so that's the stage we're in. So yes,
congratulations.
There will be a maze. So
that's great news. I know a lot of people were hoping.
Yeah.
And I am highly empathetic on the communication challenges. But that's fantastic. So yeah, great news. And maybe you can share with our listeners, relative to the location of the main event, how far away is the maze?
It is the opposite end of town. Okay. However, town is probably like 6 or 7 miles long. And in general, Flagstaff has pretty awful traffic along Route 66 running through town. Milton runs north-south, and 66 runs east-west, and Milton just curves right into it. And that's usually congested on just a regular day. And so on a weekend, all the valley, all the Phoenicians come up to get away from the heat. Traffic is terrible. And then, of course, on a holiday weekend, everyone comes. And so traffic will be pretty snarled to begin with, and then add in all the cachers stopping every 528 feet or whatever. And cacher parking, right? Just on a sidewalk or whatever. So yeah,
flashers are for
exactly. So my recommendation, actually, you can get from the mega site to the maze site very easily on Interstate 40, and I would actually highly recommend using Interstate 40 as much as you can. That said, I've heard stories that Interstate 17 is closed northbound this weekend for construction, and that during the week it may be closed from 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. I haven't had a chance to look this up myself, but Arizona and their highway repairs, they didn't check with me first.
The nerve.
An inconvenience. Other exciting news is that Fort Hill Park has multiple sites, multiple venues, and we were the first to get locked in. We started shopping for a venue, actually even before the proposal was approved, was selected. We started looking around to see if it was possible, and so we've been in contact with our venue for 14 months now or something. So we locked in pretty early once our proposal was selected. That was the first thing we did. And but there are 2 other venues within the same park, and one has a concert festival, a 3-day concert festival that has popped up more recently. No, not the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
It is called the Grateful Festival. Grateful Dead will not be performing. It is basically a bunch of dead cover bands, yeah, and tribute type bands, and dead adjacent. So it is not
Mostly
going to
dead.
be, yeah, somewhat dead. Not quite dead yet. They, it's not going to have 40,000 people. Their event and our event, I think both start at 10 a.m., but they have an hour of yoga, and they then, I don't know, most music festivals, the headlining bands are not the 10 a.m. bands. So, and it's, and the day that we're there is their second day of the festival. So, hopefully everybody will be hungover from Friday night and be late. So, yes.
Or injured themselves from yoga and are not able to traverse from the parking lot to the concert.
Where they never left. Yeah.
Yeah, true. So they, yes, we share a parking lot with them, and but VIP doesn't. We rented that out, but we were not able to. It was not an option to rent out the entire parking for the park, being a public place. So there's the Dead Festival, the Grateful Festival, excuse me, and as well as a horse show at the northern part of the park. That said, Fort Salt Hill is huge. But parking is all centrally located, so that will be shared amongst these other events. So if you're coming at 4:00, you're going to have a hard time. But hey, we start at 10, so
I feel like it sucks the most for the equestrian event. To be honest, like people trying to get to that are going to be showing up, going, "What is going on?"
Yeah, it should be. It'll be pretty packed. The park will be pretty packed, but we. Actually, the music festival tried to. They offered to rent our venue out from under us, and they asked if they could pay us to move to a different weekend. But obviously, Geo Woodstock guidelines, Woodstocks have to be on Memorial Day or July 4th weekend, unless you obtain special dispensation to. Mm-hmm. So for the 1 out of 20 that was not on one of those weekends,
that's right.
But that coincided with the 22nd birthday party, in Seattle. But we didn't really have much flexibility. We couldn't change weekends, even though they tried to bribe us. And
honestly, man, like it's not just the. I mean, it is, as you say, it's a big part of Geo Woodstock is the dates, but it's also picking up and moving an event of that scale where you already have all the people who've made all their travel plans and everything. Mm-hmm. Like that's
what I said. I was like, we've announced this, we already have, this was fairly early, relatively early on. So it was like, we've already got, 1,000 will attends or whatever. And it's like, these people, some people have committed to plane tickets already, and everyone's booking hotels, and it's like just not possible. And they were very gracious about it. They made the offer, and everything was fine. But
were they grateful or gracious?
They were. So unfortunately, they got our maze location. So that started a series of dominoes that did not work in our favor until about, I don't know, 36 hours ago, maybe.
Wow.
So pretty exciting. So
somebody you may know, GSM times 2 asked.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, you heard of them? What day will the maze be available for planning purposes?
It'll be available Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Perfect.
1 to 5 p.m. is what we're aiming for. We hope to expand those times. It just depends on volunteers. So once HQ does their magic with the page and does all final approvals and stuff, we will add those spots to our volunteer sign-up list, which is available online. I don't have the link to share, unfortunately. That probably would have been something I should have prepped.
No worries.
But
we'll put the research department right on it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully Scott's pulling that up right now. Drop that in the chat. It's I just totally lost my train of thought. But
well, while you're thinking,
we'll expand those hours if the volunteers are there.
There you go. Seabeck Tribe says thank you for your work to get Geo Woodstock going. We can't wait to be there.
Thank you very much.
I'm wondering if you also got distracted by the joke CRS 98 made that Woodstock and the Grateful Festival
It's an ideal combo. I mean,
Right?
I don't know why people are up in arms. They're like, what is this? It's Grateful. It's like Woodstock. I don't know.
I'm wondering how many people going to the Grateful Festival will see Geo Woodstock and go, "Oh, it must be this."
Exactly. And how much tie-dye will be wandering around, and
A lot.
and what's going to be floating in the air, because I mean the parking lot is on the other side of.
Oh boy.
The parking lot is on the far side of the music festival, so you kind of got to go through the music festival to get to. You'll go around.
It's going to be the most relaxed Geo Woodstock.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty chill. We're going to run out of food in like the first 10 minutes. So, yeah.
Too funny.
So yeah, but I think everything will be fine. The venue has promised us that the music should not impede. And and we'll we have a concert venue ourselves, so we'll just blast Scott's Route 66 talk. We'll just crank that up to full concert volume and retort. So
and they're going to be interested.
Yeah.
Oh, what are they talking about over there? We'll find out.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming, dropping in to share those updates. Is there anything else that you wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to share?
I'm sure there's a billion things. I'm so tired. I don't even know. Boy, let's see. Questions, recent questions. What's for lunch? Bigfoot Barbecue is our caterer. So we'll have barbecue beef, we'll have barbecue pork, we'll have barbecue chicken, and we will have a vegetarian selection. They call it VeggieQ, and so it's up. And another question I get all the time, the 2 Mile High virtual. We chatted about that episode 550, but unfortunately, it's in an area that doesn't have consistent access to the public. So it has not been approved. So I'll try to stick the virtual somewhere else in town, but unfortunately it won't be at the at 2 Mile. At actually, what is that? 11,500 feet up there. So yeah, that was the goal, but
Okay.
it's not.
Well, thank you for trying.
Not going to happen. So unless HQ gets involved, but. We'll see. We'll see if I can appeal or something. Who knows?
Apparently, the Route 66 talk is from 1 to 150. Shameless plug from GSM times 2.
Fair enough. Yep, absolutely.
Speaking of GSM times 2, he also raised a question. I believe the food truck is only for people who've bought the lunch. Is that correct?
Well, it's a caterer. It's catered. There are no food trucks. And
Okay.
Yes. If you didn't buy lunch, then bring your own.
Okay.
There will be some tickets. I mean, Jay, as you know, when you're doing these sort of things, you can't buy without having the funds, right? And we're just geocachers, so we're not a business. We're not, bazillionaires. We are not just doing this out of So we had to sell, and if people didn't buy it, then we could only buy so much. So of the 1,000 people that bought lunch, we added 10% on top of that. So there'll be 100 tickets, lunch tickets for sale at the event at the sales tent. But that's first come, first serve. And when they're sold out, they're gone. There's no food trucks. There are a couple of food trucks over at the music festival. And then, there are horses over at the track. So
Depending
on how desperate you are. But
I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
Exactly. So, you're a mile and a half south of town, 2 miles south of town. Grab a sandwich on the way, and bring it with you. It's this great picnic venue.
Another question with all the activity going on at the park. I know there's some people, and I apologize because I haven't looked recently at the Facebook page for these Q&As, but with all the activity going on in the park, is it going to be kind of like, hey, plan to get there early and stay because in and out might be a bit of a challenge, or what do you think?
In is greater challenge than out. We are the southern end of the park, so you'll actually have a kind of an express lane to get out from VIP parking. From regular parking, it should be all right to get out. Getting in could be a challenge depending on how many people show up for the music festival at 10 a.m.
Right.
I mean, if Woodstock is anything like the first spring fling also started at 10 a.m. and our first mega here in LA. And we arrived at sunrise to set up. We're at 6 a.m. on the dot. We were setting up. At 8 a.m., we had 100 attendees. And they're like asking us. It's like, it's like, hey, you said there were going to be all these gadget caches and an adventure lab of gadget caches. I can't find it online. I'm like, where are the caches?
2 hours.
Like, they're in the trunk of my car if you want to go get them. And it's like, they, come back at 10, right? So we by 10 o'clock, I mean, we were able to push through and we opened at 9. But it's I presume cachers are going to be there at 9 o'clock, and we're going to try to be ready for you. But
cachers are going to be there at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think there's caches a short walk. Like there's some trails nearby, right? So if you get there
the
early,
park is filled with them. But at the same time, you're also at 7,000 feet of elevation, and some of those trails are get a little, some of them are a significant hike. Some of them you actually need a high clearance vehicle to get to, to get to quite a bit of them. So the park is quite extensive, and but you're also at 7,000 feet. So I don't know how far you want to go walking.
Fair point.
So
good stuff. Well, that was a lot of really good information.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a lot of us who are excited about going, it's great to get the last minute updates. So a very sincere thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Share those updates.
Absolutely. Sorry to crash the party, but thank you.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you very much.
you're welcome in anytime.
Excellent. Thank you.
But go get some sleep now.
Yeah, I wish. The van's like half packed, and the two babies. The 8-month-old is teething, so she's probably screaming right now. But with my headphones, I can only hear you guys. So
that's why he wants to stay longer.
Yeah, exactly. So, right on. So excellent. But thank you for your time. Thanks for having me, and we'll catch up again.
Josh, thank you so much.
Certainly, no worries.
I'll see you in about a week.
Excellent. Looking forward to it, man.
See you there.
Right on.
Very good. Well, that was timely.
Wasn't that a great interruption?
Yeah.
All righty then. Let's quickly run through a couple more of the container-less caches.
Yep.
And then we'll call it quits for this show. Maybe we'll have to have a Geocaching 102 to finish up.
Why don't because we covered off the majority of the containerless caches that are common. Why don't we just jump down to talk about event caches? Because that segues nicely to our guest who popped in.
Perfect. Well, the first type of event caches is, oddly enough, an event cache, right? It's a gathering of local geocachers or geocaching organizations. The event cache page specifies a time for the event and provides coordinates for its location. The event page is automatically archived 30 days after it ends, right? And you have to post the event 2 weeks before it starts.
Right.
So you can't decide, hey, you know what? I'm not doing anything this weekend. Let's have an event.
I think that's the biggest thing around event caches that people need to know is that they have to, it doesn't have to be posted. It has to be submitted to the reviewers 2 weeks or greater before the date and time of the event. So that's an important point for people to be aware of if they're planning to host one. Good stuff. Dan, did you want to share about CETOs? Sure.
CETO, or Cash In, Trash Out, or CATA, depending on which podcaster you listen to. It's an environmental initiative to clean up and preserve the natural area that we enjoy while geocaching. Also heard it, we're taking care of our game board. These events are gatherings so the geocaching community can focus on services like litter cleanup, removal of invasive species, planting trees and vegetation, and trail building.
Awesome. Yeah.
I love me a good CETO.
Yeah, that's a great thing to get out to. So again, watch your geocaching map and calendar for CETO events where you come out, hang out with some other folks, and participate in, as Dan said, cleaning up the game board. It's fantastic.
Well, and there are also some souvenirs available for participating a couple times a year. Yes,
exactly right.
Yeah,
twice a year
in the fall.
Two CETO seasons. Yes.
Very cool. Hey, I'll grab the next two. And what I'll
Okay.
do is I'll kind of combine them together in the interest of time. And that is the mega event and the giga event. And for those who enjoy the metric system, this is going to really mess with your head because mega event is a geocaching event, as Chris and or Dan have described previously, a gathering of geocachers getting together, enjoying some planned activities. It is classified as a mega event if they expect to have 500 or more people in attendance. That's what gets the classification of mega event. As I said, a full day of all kinds of activities, often surrounded by other days, as you heard our guest who just came in and was discussing about the, as they're referred to sometimes, satellite events going on around the main event. And then if that event gets even more and more popular and gets up to 5,000 or more people in attendance, it then is reclassified to a giga event. So it's not really a change in what's happening at the event. It's just the volume of people who are going to be there. And my goodness, like 5,000 plus people is a lot of geocachers in one place.
Yes, it is. Don't expect your phones to work.
There you go. So megas and gigas.
Next ones we're going to talk about are special events. They don't happen often, but when they do, people tend to plan, a year in advance to attend. We're talking about an Geocaching HQ celebration. Formerly, it was known as the Groundspeak Lost and Found celebration. If you remember back that far, this event cache type is used by Geocaching HQ and only them to celebrate the biggest anniversary years of geocaching with a large event in Seattle, Washington. Geocaching HQ intends to host these events every 10 years.
There you go. Dan, do you want to take on Block Party?
Sure. The Block Party is the goal of the Block Party to celebrate a milestone year, strengthen the geocaching community through amazing social experiences. And these large events attract geocachers from all over the world, and they are physically usually in the blocks all around GHQ.
With the exception.
With the exception of the one at Seattle Center.
Well, I was going to say with that, and so absolutely, yep.
Well, that was an HQ celebration. That wasn't a block.
That's true. That wasn't a Block Party. Yeah.
Right. But they are going to have a Block Party. They're going to allow mega events in 2025.
Correct.
Oh, yes.
Around the world, a select number of mega events, I think 25, to be classified as Block Party. So it'll be the first time that folks who have maybe not been able to make it to Seattle for a Block Party may have the opportunity to attend a Block Party in their home country.
So once again, the game continues to evolve.
Yes,
exactly. I said to start off, this is evergreen content. It'll always be there. Well, it may not always be.
There's always nuances.
Yeah, there's always nuances and changes, right? It is a game that is alive and changing.
It is. And one more event type just to wrap things up, and that's the community celebration event. It's a special designation for a local geocaching event. Again, it's something that geocachers are gifted, just like we discussed with virtuals before. Geocachers on certain years are gifted the ability to host community celebration events. I saw an announcement coming out that's going to happen again coming up in the future. So watch your
so we talked about it last week. Land Monkey host an event this year, 2024, in order to qualify to get a community celebration event in 2025.
Sweet. Okay. Good to know. There you go.
There you go. Swag in Arizona is already a Block Party for 2025.
Congratulations, Swag.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yes. Brylance's Block Party events are already starting to show up on the calendar.
That's what I was going to say. I know that there's some that are already starting to pop up there, so good stuff to watch for.
Well, guys, there was a lot of information about geocache types, a little sneaking in there about a big geocaching event coming up right away, and
a special guest star.
And Iham, thank you so much for stepping in and helping tonight. I really
you're quite
appreciate
welcome.
it.
A lot of fun.
And folks, thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. We really hope you enjoy caching in the Northwest.
Indeed. And we want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate Denali level sponsors. LandSharkz.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online and check for their newest travel adventures that are being planned and posted on the website. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. And folks, we want to thank all of our faithful Denali level supporters. That is, of course, Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, also Groovy Owl, Cool Cow Cachers, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting this here podcast, well, click that Patreon link right over there on the cachingnw.com website.
Like Ackerdoc did.
And Terrible Tease.
He's new. Gas Station Tuna.
Do we want to rotate here with Dan?
I can do, yeah.
Oh, sure.
You take the next one.
Yeah, okay. B Pendragon.
Go ahead, Chris.
You Talks to Rocks.
Why no Seattle?
Just Carlo.
Limax.
MC3 Cats.
J-Car.
Alarobrick.
Subway Mark.
Kitty Quest.
You did it right. Kev MacD.
Sege Ho.
Oh, this
Camp
is
Plan.
ironic.
That was odd. That was awkward. Camp Plan.
Camp Plan.
Thank you, Camp Clan.
CRS 98.
Log Work.
Railroad.
Seebeck Tribe.
Trexer.
LG 9000.
BC Rock Crawler.
Nervous Energies.
Boomer 365.
Wet Coaster.
Mountain Bike.
GeoBirder.
GeoNav Pro.
Korsgat.
Duramore.
Kid Vegas 19.
M-Nerve.
Greenwords.
Peach of Washington.
Genies.
Flagman.
Butterfly Girl.
Geocaches.
Team Noltex.
Whidbey Island Gal.
UDAC.
GSM ×2.
Skyhawker.
Just finding our way.
RE 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Antaeus. Now, if our listeners wanted to get in touch with you, maybe to prove to themselves that you are not Wits End, what's the best way to do that?
Well, if you contact me through Geocaching Messenger at IHAM, it will very much not go to Wits End's inbox.
Can
Well
you
done.
forward it to him, though, if it's really intended for him?
If it's really intended for him, yeah, I could forward it to him. But
Yeah. Folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. Now, if you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. But in either case, if you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a review. Because if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. And of course, you can always call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or meet us at Geo Woodstock any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy, Brian Lang. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2024 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.